Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 216. Each week we meet here to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Also, you can ask questions on our Facebook page at Dumb SEO Questions, and also on Twitter at Dumb SEO QS. With us today we have David Rozam. David is an SEO of many years standing, notably at least 6 or 7 as a SEO copywriter. Yes? Close? He lives.
I don't know. I've got a clue what you're talking about. I think
David lives at near Brighton, on the sunny coast of the UK. He can be found at
by the swamps.
And his website is writingforseo.org. Tim Capper is an SEO and conversion rate optimization specialist. He is based also in the UK, and he is a Google top contributor on the Google My Business community. You can find Tim at onlineownership.com. And William Rock can be found at williamrock.com, and also in Kansas, in the middle of Trumpistan. And he's an SEO and a Google top contributor on the it's the Google web search community.
Correct.
Is that right? Yeah. Cool. All right, let's look at our first question. I think we've got about 7 tonight. Oh dear, we're stuck. No, we're right. A question from Greg Christan, who's asked questions of us before. Greg asked a question titled Best Way to Handle Facet URL. He said, hello, I work on an e-commerce site that uses facets for navigation, but it is causing issues in SEO, I believe. Usually happens. For example, a user can get to a page like this, /us/c/men's-shoes, but when they use the facets, they get a URL like, and he gives it the URL with a query string attached to it. He said, even though we have a canonical that points to the correct version of the page and not the dynamic URL, I still see this page at a 200 level by Google, so I know it is being crawled and indexed. I can confirm this is the case with Screaming Frog 2. What is the best way to handle facet URLs like this? Is it possible for me to add a disallow in the robots field? I was always under the assumption that the robots file needed a slash to block a certain path. It certainly does. Should I add a meta name robots tag to these URLs to no index pages? Should I do both? Thanks. I see Lucas Regalo jumped in on, where was this one? Was this in the SEO Questions community or on Facebook? At Dumb SEO Questions. SEO Questions community.
I think it sounds like he's on the right track. I mean, it's being crawled and Google's picking up. However, I'd be careful with the disavow that section for the in case you break the kind of canonical areas as well. So I don't know if that would. There's a great article, and I'll post this in the link, but it's a good breakdown of e-commerce facets and filters for categories by Moz. I'll put that link in the piece over there. That it explains a lot of that stuff, but this was even back in 2013. The article was written. Still a good, powerful article. I would just be careful by disallowing something.
Yep. Siraj Gadagay said we have had a similar problem with one of our e-commerce clients, and in fact Google sent a message suggesting an increase in dynamic errors. We fixed this problem by adding a self-referencing canonical tag, and as an additional safety measure blocked the dynamic parameters in Google Search Console. Hope this helps. More than helps. I think it solves the problem.
Yeah, that was a great answer.
All right, let's call this answered, and we'll move on. Greg, I hope that's what you are looking for. This one from our good friend Stephen Sicantelli from Abraxas Taxi in Florida. He said, my site was dipping in the SERPs. I haven't heard of this Google bug. He said, I was curious why my site was dipping on search engine results pages. So I went to Moz. Seems like I have the YouTube date issue before my description. Is Google aware of this bug? Is it done with purpose? Should I have the webmaster remove or wait patiently, please? So yes, Mohammed.
I did.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, David.
It's nothing particularly solid to add to this, but I did see a story about this in one of my RSS feeds earlier in the week, and I realised I didn't read the story, but there's certainly something out there in newsfeed land of comments about this. Presumably Google is now aware of it, if people have been blogging about it. But as I say, I saw it as a headline, but I didn't see any more. Did you see anything about that, William?
You know, I read something with Google, but where it gets me is the embedded, like he's embedding it onto a page, right? And that's where he's losing rank, it looks like, right? To the page itself, because he's embedding the YouTube video in there. Am I misreading the question? Because I think the question is that he's losing traffic. It looks like my site was dipping in the SERPs, and then with the YouTube, it doesn't make sense why a page would fall just by embedding a video, unless that video was against terms of service. But I don't think that's the case. But I haven't read anything about a bug on that. But I don't know.
I'm just trying to track it down.
Do we have a URL? I don't think we have a URL for that site to check.
No, there's no URL. Or Stephen's site. I guess I could find it. Just hang on. Sorry.
Yeah. That one's a tough one. I think I don't have enough information, but I don't believe if I'm thinking it right, basically you've got your landing page with an embedded video, and possibly losing rank because that is embedded. But then others were saying just remove the video and then you put it back in. But that doesn't sound like any type of algorithm or filter or anything like that can affect the ranking of that page, unless again it's against terms of service. Thanks, Jim. Got the link.
No problem. Yasser Mohammed, who's also been a staunch participant of the SEO Questions community on Google+. He had the same issue. He removed it and submitted the site to be reindexed, and the data disappeared from being prepended, and it was ranking again. It's amazing, isn't it? Okay, let's move on to the next, and let's go ahead, William.
No, I just kind of looking at the site, and I'm wondering the way that he's also embedding some of these videos is through a plugin, it looks like. I'm wondering if it might be something to be done with that plugin that was causing the problem. Anyhow, if I come up with anything, I'll just add more to that conversation for his question.
Yeah. If I were Stephen, I'd do what Yasser Mohammed did, just temporarily take off the video until it's safe, and monitor it until it's safe to go back into the water again.
Yeah.
And then put it back. All right, let's go to the next, and this one from Ankit Patel, preventing Google from indexing a multi-site network website. For example, I see, he said location 1 in both of these examples, but I'm sure he meant that the second one that needs to index is location 2. But anyway, he said xyz.com/location1 brackets prevent index and xyz.com/location2 needs to index in brackets. In short, how can I apply robots text to a multi-site network website? Looks like I answered this one, and I just pointed out that the robots text will only prevent crawling. It doesn't have any bearing on indexing. The only thing you can do is, or the thing you must do is to, in some way, shape, or form, whether either by tag on the page or from an X-Robots tag. And I recommend X-Robots tag because it's easier to administer. You need the no index tag. You can specify this for individual crawlers as well. And apply the no index tag, allow the page to be crawled. Googlebot will see the no index tag, whereas if you use robots text to block it, it won't be able to drop any pages from the index. Anyway, Ankit Patel, I hope that is useful to you, and we'll go on to the next one. This one from Diego Santos Cicado on Google can be wasting our crawl budget. That's the title. He said, hi guys, how can I know for sure if Google is crawling a specific page apart from doing a log file analysis? We have thousands of internal pages that require authentication. I know Google cannot read the content and they aren't indexed. However, I suspect that Google can be wasting our crawl budget on them since we do not actively block them from being crawled. Thanks for your help.
I think I'm in agreement with Federico. That the way to do it is to go near the dreaded log file.
Yeah, I don't know why log file analysis isn't done by more people. And yet, I mean, that being said, I know I've got a crawler here, and I don't use it, but I should. I used to. Actually, yeah, I know correlation is not causation, but when I was doing very well, and that was when I was using log file analysis and not relying on Google Analytics. I think Google is teaching us all to be lazy and providing these toys, bread and circuses, David. All right.
You think we ought to go back to the Stone Age with log file analysis? Do you?
They're very good these days. They've become very elegant, and there is one I must pick it up and do it. Yeah, actually, that's my project for the month of December. Oh, it's Christmas time. No, maybe after.
It's your Christmas present to yourself.
Well, a lot of useful information. It comes from analysing your own raw log files.
As long as it's not through analysing your own droppings or something.
A different tool for that.
Yes, with a very long handle.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, I haven't actually looked at log files for some time. I mean, you're right. We are getting we're getting kind of spoiled with just the JavaScript information, and then we just kind of, we're missing some of that information. Like you just talked about, when is a particular page crawled? Can you see that in your log file analysis? Yeah, you'll see the robot come through. But I believe you can still check a lot of that from your Webmaster Tools console, and be able to start to understand what was actually found and crawled and indexed. You can run page analysis on it. I mean, but yeah, log file analyzers I've been used for a while, guys. So maybe that's something I need to learn for the holidays again too. To what I'm missing out again.
The thing about the Google Search Console is that the data is only a representative sample in most cases, and also it's on a time delay, and that is adjusted according to a whim. You could be doing something to your site that you've already fixed.
Yeah,
because
especially during the holidays. Right, you want to see that information quickly if you've got an e-commerce and it's a holiday season right now, right? You want to be able to see if all those products are indexed. Good point, Jim. Yeah.
Anyway, look, the thing I'd say to Diego is really you can't. I mean, if you put up if you've got something that you don't want to waste time on, Googlebot crawl time, don't put those URLs in your sitemap, and or make sure that every link you've got that goes to them is no followed, and that way Googlebot will not follow them, although sometimes they do. But in general terms, Google says that they do not follow no followed links. Actually, that's the one thing about analysing your raw log files, William. You can test the truth of some of Google's statements.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, I remember a tool I used called Splunk. Splunk was a log analysis tool that was pretty awesome at the time. I think I just looked it up again, and they're actually still alive, which is cool. But yeah, that would be a good study. So thanks. Now I'm going to do that during the holidays.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will.
And then are you going to teach me how to read the entrails of websites?
You know, we can try that. Yeah. We'll break out the tea leaves too, right? It's like
yeah, tea leaves, coffee grounds, SEO entrails.
Biggest problem is setting it up so that it's running. I mean, and once it's running, it's there until you change servers. And that's what happened to me. Of course, we upgrade our servers and tend to leave those things behind. But yeah, I think your own log files will give you so much more information and reliable information than Google Analytics or the Google Search Console.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on to the next. Diego, I hope that's useful to you. Okay. The site's running slowly tonight. Neil Cheeseman on Facebook asked this question on keyword/key phrase positions on search engine results pages. He said, retrospectively, is it possible to find out keyword/keyword phrase position on search engine result pages in Google or Bing over past weeks or months?
Well, for Bing, you would just go into your Bing Webmaster Tools console, and you can start to find all those pieces of information, just like you would have with Search Console. You're able to see average position. You're also able to see broken down by page level to see those particular keywords that are already being queried, and then you can also compare what the impressions are, your average position towards the click-through ratio. With both those tools, so Bing Webmaster Tools and Google Search Console, should give you quite a bit of data, and then you can go back to analytics.
Yeah, but well, I don't know how far back he wants, but yeah, I mean, like Search Console only do 90 days.
Yeah, and you can download that to a spreadsheet, can't you?
Yeah, but I'm guessing the way he asked, he's wanting. I don't know. If so, no.
Isn't this a job for our friends at SEMrush?
Possibly. Well, but not.
Yeah. Well, he was asking to the site.
In their data, of course.
But yeah, he was asking to the site, but yeah.
Well, if you put the actual,
because even if you used any of the actual tools out there, they give you an indication on your position now. They wouldn't retrospectively store your position for that particular keyword going back a year unless you had set tracking up for it. Know of any hang on, maybe Search Metrics might.
historical data on that one, or more than 90 days?
Yes, but that would only depend if they had actually even found your site. So if you're a big well-known site, yes. If you were just some random kind of site that's a couple of thousand visits a month, they probably haven't even found your site yet.
How about the SEMrush? So basically when you type in the domain and you're doing the analyzer of just all, it gives you that dashboard where you can click on for keywords, and then you can see in the timeline where it's dropped or climbed for the amount of keywords in the historical time.
Yeah, but he was, I suppose, but that's not going to tell you where you were in the SERPs in July.
Correct. Well, yeah, it's not going to give you
May.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just give you a rough kind of graph, but no, I don't actually think there is a specific way, unless obviously you've set up a tracking. I don't think there is a way of getting any historical data on that. Not sure, mate. Sorry.
While we're on this subject, SEMrush released their keyword magic in beta. What do we think of that one, guys? I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it is good. I've not used it that much because it's just been US. Although I know Sitnell does strange places like Australia, where I believe they've got the odd bit of the internet, and it's very good from the point of view of wanting to dig deep. I think if you go too wide with it, you'll be there all night and all the next day as well. But yeah, my experiences with it have been positive, and I'm looking forward to using it a lot more because now we've got the UK.
Yeah, as Tim points out in the chat, we have covered it in that it was actually first released 6 months ago, and what's changed is an update in the increased number of keywords.
What they're doing is they're shouting about.
Go ahead, Tim.
They're just doing an update. They're shouting about the amount of numbers they've developed over the last kind of 6 months. It's it's still in beta though, but they're seriously heavily increasing the numbers.
Yeah, I think the United Kingdom was 80 million keywords edition, Canada 70 million, and then Australia is 95 million added to their index. So, and then they have basically an email. The database is planned for 160 million within the next month.
Yeah, the thing is, because I think Michael mentioned it in one of the things. This isn't their actual keyword analysis tool. That's been going for years, and that's in the hundreds and hundreds of millions. This is their keyword magic tool. So what's the difference here? The difference here is that it splits down the keyword that you searched for into different various uses of it. So if you searched local SEO as a keyword, for example, the normal tool will give you variations and blah, 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 and just big numbers and wah, as they all do. This splits it down now into different variations and intentions on how and where it's been used before. And then, of course, gives you metrics on those. And you can segment it out. So you can select in terms of business or websites, or and depending on what it throws up, it'll throw up like a list of, I suppose you could call them intentions or categories, really. and then you can select into them, and it gives you different variations based upon that, you know, usage of it. So it's really cool. And then of course they've exported, when they started building the difficulty of it, so they, you know, they've brought that over from their main keyword analysis into that. So it's really a good way, and it also gives you kind of larger phrases, how-tos, why, because, you know, larger, longer tail things. So it's a great tool for looking, spotting opportunities where competition of a phrase used with obviously a fair bit of traffic to it. So yeah, I mean, in fact, I used the keyword magic tool when I did that article on mesothelioma attorneys. When it turned out that these attorneys were paying $500-600 a click, whatever. Yeah, that's the one.
Mesothelioma, yes.
When these guys were paying $500-600 a click, so I was like, hang on a second. There's got to be some opportunities here. There's got to be somewhere where we can find something at a decent traffic with, you know, a fair entry point. And I used it then to analyze it, and we did. We found 5 or 6 kind of areas or opportunity, which were, in terms of AdWords, which were down to like, you know, back to normal couple of bucks a click, plus an easy opportunity to rank. So, well, I don't know how many of these attorneys actually took my advice on the article. I don't know. I should go back and recheck. But yeah. So, you know, I used it then, and that was, I think I did that 4 or 5 months ago, that article. So it was a good tool even then for uncovering something, and now they're saying they've, you know, exponentially increased their database and keywords. So it's coming along really nicely.
Yeah. And I even use this more than the keyword planner ever since the major change on keyword planner. This has got a lot more information to me, actually, you know, dive deeper into it. Like you said, you know, there's ways to get the high cost clicks, but then you can filter and find the little low hanging fruit. So really like the tool. I've been in beta for a little while, but then even the basic keyword analyzer that they have is spot. This just takes it to the next level, which is great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Okay. All right. Neil, I hope you found it useful. Let's move on to the next. Neil Cheeseman has another question for us. In this case, he says click-through rate and bounce back to search engine result pages. Any evidence for the following? Any particular search term? Is the click-through ratio and bounce rate likely to affect site-wide ranking, or only affect one page / URL? First of all, we've got to agree whether the click-through rate and bounce rate affects a page at all. He said, i.e. one website page URL continues to rank well for a search term with a low bounce back to search engine result pages, and to a second, not really relevant to the search term page, with a high bounce back to the SERPs, appears in the SERPs for the exact same search term. I've seen this. Could the second poorly optimized page affect the ranking of the first better one?
Well, firstly, the use of the term, could the poorly optimized one affect the use of the better optimized one? Well, obviously Google doesn't feel that the other one is better optimized if it's showing the poorly one. You know, there's got to be a reason why the poorly optimized one is shown. So anyway, that's for another day. Look, people, you know, people need to understand also that Google isn't as daft as it is sometimes. If your contact page, you know, your contact page should be sitting on, like, I don't know, possibly even 100% or 90% bounce rate. Because ideally, if someone's wanting the contact page, they search for the contact page, they get the contact page, find the details they want, they either send the message and then they leave, or they get the phone number, or they get the directions or the address and then they leave. 90, 100% bounce rate, job done. But that's not going to affect how your contact, you know, it's not going to affect your site, because Google's understanding what the situation is. I think you need to start looking at potentially time on site also, time on page rather. Looking for a pink fluffy he searches for it, he finds your site, either position 1 to 5. You know, there's a lot of factors involved here, you know, and Google doesn't just plain look at that, you know. It could also be price. You know, people are, like, for example, it's coming up to Christmas, so different sites, pink fluffy elephants. They click onto one, they may leave. They click onto the next, they may leave. Why? Because they just want to check the first 5 results in terms of price. It's the same product, they just want to check out the price. Then once they've narrowed down price, they may go back to number 2, and they might look on that. They might stay a bit longer. They might look at terms and conditions, shipping, things like this. So you need to understand, like, Google is not going to necessarily penalize a site, their position, just because of a bounce rate or a click-through. You know, over time, they will then relook at a page over time to see whether that is still actually the correct page, or the correct page and position for a search result. If it's a very highly popular term, they may even have manual checkers actually verifying and looking at these, and this is why algos are always tweaked and things like this. But I really don't believe that it's going to impact, because every single user is so completely different to one another. Click through all 5 just to check out the price. One might click through to the top 5 to see where they deliver, how they deliver. Is there a click and collect near me? You know, every single user has a different intention, or a different, you know, it would just be pretty much insane to base it purely upon a bounce rate on a page, etc., or the click-through rate on a page, because there is no way in heck that Google knows or understands what that user's intention was, and whether that user's intention correct in terms of time on page, where they looked, the bounce rate, etc. I really don't think you can look at it as simplistically as that.
Well said.
Yeah, talking about simplistic, I think that bounce rate is such a can of worms. I've had clients phone me up in a panic because they've got high bounce rates, I've had people proudly saying they've got a really low bounce rate. It's because there isn't a direct relationship between, as Tim put it, people's intentions and the number that we get in bounce rate. I think bounce rate is just about useless as a measure. I've come over the years to more or less ignore it because I can't tell anything from it. So I don't know if anyone else feels like that, but I just think it's almost meaningless, or it's significantly meaningless enough to make me ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, one of my pages, which happens to be an article, which is creating a direct link to your reviews to your Google Plus page. We're looking at between 6,000 and 8,000, depending. It peaks during holidays, coming up to holidays and stuff like that. But you're looking at about 6,000 visits a month, right? But the bounce rate on that is like, we're looking at 89, 90%. But they're spending 3 minutes on the page. So it's like they're spending the time on the page, they're digesting the information. They are either, because on the page, I show you how to manually create your own direct link. So that is where the proportion of the time comes in. Or if you're too lazy and you just want to skip to the 4 or 5 different generators that do it for you. But it's a 90, call it a 90% bounce rate, but they've spent 3 minutes on the page. The page has fulfilled their need, unless they want to go somewhere else. But you see, they've learned how to create it. Now they're not going to hang about and go and read other articles because they've just spent 3 minutes figuring out how to create a direct link. They've probably followed it step by step and created their direct link. So user intent and the direction of that page tells me that they're now going to go and take the code they created from the lesson, and they're going to now try and embed it into their site or into their emails. So they're not going to hang about my page. I fully expect it to be a 90% bounce rate, because if the page wasn't doing its job, they wouldn't be on there, and then they would be fluffing about trying to find some other generator, or you know what I mean. So yeah, so like David, I mean, certainly not bothered. And especially like analytics, when you first log in onto the actual overall, and like there's a bounce rate of like 60, 70, 80, and clients are like, oh my God, oh, and you're like, whoa, 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 you need to like so understand this. That bounce rate is across every single freaking search term and click that you have ever gotten. So if it was over like, it's had analytics integrated over 10 years, and it's like, come on, calm down. And if you're ever going to look at a bounce rate, you need to look at it on a page level, not on like an overall level, because that will just, clients are like, they're freaking out, go mental.
Well, even a location bounce rate. I mean, you made a good point. When you jump into the beginning of analytics, clients do freak out and go, "Oh, I've got a 90% bounce rate." When you go into especially if they're a brick and mortar, they're only doing business in a small radius. And so, if you can actually go into the geo data on location and now go, okay, here's California, and then let's break down the California cities, and then you can start to see the decrease in bounce rate. But then you also have the time on site. So they're making it through, and then if you have your goals set up properly, you can then see side by side that they're actually effectively getting to the contact page or purchasing a product from your site. I like to gauge the time on site though, and where they went, even like the visitor flow model. Where did they go after they came into this landing page from this query? Maybe. But I never really look at it as a signal for ranking. No, I'm just
Yeah, but the thing is, also, if you're an e-com site and someone's, like I said, if someone searched for pink fluffy elephant, they found your pink fluffy elephant, you deliver where they deliver, you are either offering free delivery or a small delivery charge, and it's a good price, they are going to purchase that, then either check out. You know, it's like you won't be penalized because they've found it, they've used it, and they've left. You know, and you can't expect them either also to like, well, what do you want this guy to do? Keep shopping? Well, then you need to entice them. You need to create different things on the page to maybe, you know, do you want to buy this, or other users bought this? But, you know, they don't have to hang about. I mean, one of the best freaking click-throughs I've ever seen was for a particular high-end, exceptionally high-end manufacturer, where the user obviously searched for a particular watch. They went through to the page. They then purchased a £250,000 watch and checked out. Time on site, 1 minute. Purchase, 250 grand. Bounce rate, technically, you know, they click through, but, you know, boom.
Yeah.
That's it. Never moved through to any other pages, nothing. It's like, but I've just made 250 grand. Who gives a shit? Yeah.
David Roseanne probably bought it.
Yeah, we know David down there. He's a smuggler. He's like a pirate down there, isn't he?
All right. So I guess summing up for Neil Cheeseman, but bounce rates aren't all that they appear.
But going to his second one, I would take a look at your 2 pages. Really take a look at your 2 pages that I think you said were appearing for the same one. If they're appearing for the same term, just have a look at possibly why is one appearing. Is one a deeper page? Could you possibly take the better page content onto the upper one and canonicalize to, you know, just have a look at those 2, because obviously you don't want a poorer experienced page which isn't going to funnel a user into a particular area. You want them appearing for that particular keyword. So just, yeah, I would certainly look at those. But in terms of click-through and bounce, and everyone has their opinion, but I honestly don't believe that it's, you know, you need to worry about that. I mean, of course, depending on what the user's doing, if they're never buying your product, well, then you have a problem, of course. But in a scenario, I personally just don't even bother with it.
Okay. All right. Let me tweet that, and let's move to the next. Oh, we've done it again, guys. We have answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+, on our Dumb SEO Questions page on Facebook, and also on Dumb SEO QS on Twitter. Now we're on to our news section, where we cover topics of interest which are posted during the week. By the way, David, the reason we're not covering those 2 of yours, and it's not that I didn't want to, it's just that our software at the moment is a little bit flaky, and we're still trying to get last week's to show on our website, episode 215. But I didn't want to muck up episode 216. Evidently, I did something wrong last week. But anyway, we'll be ready for it to cover them next week. This article is from Moritz Boyer from Germany. He says, "Hi guys, I programmed a little keyword tool that shows you the old and more accurate data of the Google Keyword Planner. It's in German, but you can search for US keywords as well. Just switch the database to google.com. The tool is free." And I've put a link in the site there. And I don't know if it is, guys. The thing is that this tool, I think, is cute. It draws its data from SEMrush's huge API, so you know you can rely on the data, and it might be very quick. I don't know. Have a look. Put local SEO in there, Tim, and see what happens. I'll just tweak this one.
Page is still loading for me for the tool.
Really? Is it loaded for you, David?
No.
Yeah, I put a link in the chat there.
Yes, it's now done that. So do I have to put the German for local SEO in there?
No, you can just put local SEO.
Oh. I think .co.uk. Oh. The Wettbewerb is 0.86.
Moritz obviously has put a good deal of work in this too. I see its usefulness. Do you guys see it the same way as me or not?
I think I'm blocked from the United States to. I can't actually even see it or go to the getting rid of that / the main domain. I can't get to that either.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah. In Trumpistan, William, I'm not sure. They're building a wall and the Trumpistan firewall. It might be that you won't see anything much around the rest of the world for a while.
Probably very true.
He's not had Mexicans building a wall, has he? So you can't get out to see stuff hosted in Germany.
Maybe I gotta open incognito mode.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm going to mention this tool right now.
Good on you, Tim. So the verdict is Tim Kappa likes Moritz's too. I love things that people do and share, particularly when they actually do what they're purported to do. And I think that's the only news item that we have for this week. Is that right? Whereabouts are you sharing that article, Tim?
Article? I'm not writing an article. Fuck.
Whereabouts are you sharing it?
Oh, Google Plus. And then
People
that'll
still
go
go
through
there?
to Twitter and Facebook.
Right. People still go to Google Plus, do they?
Oh, fuck off, man.
It's a graveyard, isn't it?
Bog off. I've got Google Plus flowing through my veins. I'll be the last one on it.
Look what happened to you.
Yeah. Are you telling me that if and when, right? Are you telling me that if and when they roll out the direct post into search, that people will not be using Google Plus? Are you kidding me? Are you having a giraffe? I tell you what, if that gets rolled out, right? Every freaking Tom, Dick, and Harry brand, business, local business, small business brand will be on it like a rash.
Do you think that they will though?
Are you crazy? Dominating the search results like that for your brand?
But do you think that Google will do that?
Well, they've rolled it out to the 100,000 user mark now. Yeah. So, and all the indications are that it's positive. The next one is to take it out to 1 million user mark test. And then if that's positive, then it'll probably be rolled out public. The only thing at the minute that I see that they seem to be getting hung up with is they are having to issue kind of more and more like warnings where businesses are violating guidelines, because if you are putting it facing there, it's not meant, you're supposed to follow like the AdWords guidelines. So you can't use price, you can't use, like a sale, $5 a t-shirt kind of thing on it. It needs to actually be either a visual content saying, sale is now on, but you can't put your price in there. Obviously, people can click through to the page to see the price or whatever, but if it's on the post in search, you can't obviously say, hey, it's a 50% discount or it's $5 or whatever. And I think people don't kind of, it's like anything, people don't click and read the terms and conditions or the actual guidelines. It's always the same. People go, new toy, boom, suspended. But yeah, I think it's brilliant. It's a micro-blogging platform for your brand right there in search results instantly. I mean, the potentials for that is massive. And I tell you what, if it goes live, everybody will be like, plus, like there's just no tomorrow. Lapping it up. They'll be loving it. They'll be like, oh, give me more. Oh. And then Twitter will die, and then Facebook will die in the dust, and they'll all just crumble away into the sea of anonymity. I
think rumours of Facebook's demise are a little premature.
Oh, yeah, it's been around. It'll be around for a long time, but it's a bit embarrassing actually this last week for old Mark Zuck, isn't he? Eh? He's been hacked like 3 times. His account's been hacked like 3 times this week. His Twitter's been hacked. His Pinterest was hacked. Everything, The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
All right. Let me tweet that. I've already done it. Okay. And it's thank you for watching time. Do we have any other items of general business? I'll record that as a no. But for watching us, we thank you. Your interest in what we do makes what we do worthwhile. At the same time next week to do this all again, don't forget you can ask your questions on the SEO Questions community on Google+, on Dumb SEO Questions on Facebook, and also Dumb SEO QS on Twitter. as I said, we'll be back next week to do it all again. But for now, it's